Alright, so I'm going to try and make a round vase. This is clay that I dig by hand on our family's farm where I grew up. I've got two different clays here, yellow clay and then a gray clay. Yellow will fire sort of a reddish brown color, and the gray clay should come out fairly white depending on how reducing the atmosphere is in the kiln. Nobody's really going to be looking inside the vase, so I just have the yellow or the white clay, gray clay on the outside here, because it's a lot harder to dig and process than my other clay, so I don't really need it mixed all throughout and save me a little bit of time and trouble. And just get it stuck down there along the edge, kind of pushing down on the sides. I'll cone it up to get some of that gray clay a little bit better mixed in here. And do this a couple of times, make sure. Otherwise I will get cracks where the two different clays are meeting. This is all dug and processed by hand. Run it through a pretty small mesh so it's very smooth. And this gray clay can get a little bit stiff sometimes, so hopefully don't run any issues with that. So going down to about 1/8 of an inch from the wheel head, and I'll open it up. Fairly wide, especially for this little bit of clay. It's about a little over 2.5 pounds. Smooth out the bottom. And because I'm going to be bringing this back in a good bit, I'm going to go with my thumb upside down underneath this edge, and this part of my hand will be resting on the wall here. Not so much that it takes off slip, but just to give me some stability. Pushing in up underneath. For this pull, my inside hand isn't doing a whole lot, just kind of holding it there. Do that again. Inside hand just a little bit higher than the outside hand. Pulling it up and in here at the top. Just keeping that kind of level. Whenever possible, I want to wet the pot with slip rather than water, just so it doesn't get too wet. This gray clay in particular takes in water very readily and will go floppy. Bringing this in at the top, slowly pushing it in, and this left hand thumb here resting on top of the lip to keep it somewhat stable. I think we can get one more. A slip here on the inside. Lower down the wheel some. starting to flop a little bit. So that is about as far as I can take it for now. Keep the inside wet. I'm going to go ahead and trim off this little skirt. Take my metal rib and take off some of the slip on the outside in hopes of keeping this thing from flopping on me. I'll also start to give it its round shape. Bring that up a little bit more. I'm going to try close in this top piece here some. Get some slip just up here at the top. I'll start with fingers like this, pinching in and bringing them slowly up. Flip back my thumb and just push in. Inside hand giving some support and staying just a little higher than that. And that is going to thin this out as we go, so it might try to fall back down in there. So come back through with the metal rib, my fingers on the inside pushing up against that. Hopefully it doesn't get wet enough to sink. Continue bringing in this top piece. Just try and keep the fingers on both hands relatively even. I don't want this to have much of a neck really. I do want a defined lip to the vase. Bring this side back in. Always have to be aware with my wild clay. It doesn't have quite the plasticity and working properties of commercially produced clay. So can't push it too far. I've really come to enjoy working within the limits of what the clay is naturally able to do. That looks pretty good. Try to bring it up just a little bit right next to that lip. And because of the marbling I've got going on here, I want to try to get this little section right here to show that marbling as well. see if I can smooth out the very rim without removing that marbling on the outside edge there. Alright, that looks pretty good. Try to do a little bit of wet trimming so I don't need to do so much later on. Down here at this bottom edge. And I will blend that in. Once this is leather hard, I'll establish a little bit of a foot ring down there. There we have it. Just get this water out of the inside. And it's done.